Tonight, parts of Wallaroo sent into lockdown once again as police search for a man wanted for serious offences, and why these parents will walk over 300 k's from Port Augusta to Adelaide.
This is Southern Cross News with Abby Donaldson.
Good evening. Parts of Wallaroo were sent into lockdown once again as police continue their search for a 37-year-old man wanted for serious offences. It comes just weeks after a manhunt involving an alleged gunman in the same area. Rachel Nell has more.
Police were called to a home on East Terrace in Wallaroo yesterday afternoon to search for a man wanted for a number of offences. Parts of the town were sent into lockdown for around 9 hours, with nearby streets blocked off and residents asked to remain inside while the siege was underway. The 37-year-old man from Wallaroo is known to police and wanted for firearm offences, but isn't believed to be a threat to the general public. Local residents were unable to access East Terrace between Daly Street and Smith Street, as well as Prince Street, while police officers surrounded the scene. Star Group officers were called in for assistance to search for the wanted man, who was believed to be hiding inside the East Terrace home. Armed police surrounded the property for a number of hours. A police negotiator attempted to communicate with the man thought to be hiding inside. The siege came to an end and the lockdown was finally lifted around 9 last night, when Star Group officers entered the home but found no one inside. The incident follows a 2-day manhunt in the same area just last month, where parts of the town were sent into lockdown as police searched for alleged gunman Jake Don't. But as police assure us, the siege was resolved safely.
Oil drilling in the Great Australian Bight is a hot topic for West Coast communities, and hundreds of people turned out to a public meeting in Port Lincoln to hear from a wide range of stakeholders about the proposed plan.
Informing the community with the realities of oil in the Bight, presenting the good, the bad and the ugly.
Over 2,000 jobs could be created here in South Australia. Over $7 billion in revenue each year for the next 40 years could flow from the successful oil exploration development.
Coexistence between fisheries and the oil industry is impossible. I mean, it's possible in the way that the oil industry is going to destroy the fisheries. As simple as that.
It would be the end of the tuna industry as we know it. Now, that's not pleading for help or anything like that. These are hard economic, social, ecological realities.
Everyone had the chance to share their facts and opinions, but the majority of insight came from local fisheries. Some strongly opposed, others open to it if risks are mitigated.
The industry's position is that obviously we would prefer no drilling. However, we are willing to consider drilling with very strict restrictions.
Among the speakers was a Norwegian fisherman who has experienced firsthand the devastating impacts of exploration with seismic surveys.
We lost half of our incomes for many years because of the seismic blastings.
But plans for exploration are moving forward, with Equinor to submit their environmental plans to the regulator NOPSEMA in the coming months. There will be an opportunity for other stakeholders to raise their concerns. Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
Whyall's mayor says addressing the region's skills shortage is an urgent priority. Local leaders have used a recent meeting with the Deputy Prime Minister to push for extra support.
From Carrapateena in the north to here in Whyalla, developments worth billions of dollars are coming to fruition. Most importantly, they're job creators, with thousands of positions destined to be filled in coming years. Unlike the minerals in the ground, however, skilled employees are becoming harder to find, with Whyall's mayor concerned about its impact.
Really short of skilled tradespeople, of engineers and a whole range of other occupations, so it's vital that we get those skills up in our region.
REM's administration, coupled with a downturn in the mining industry, saw opportunities dry up, creating a gap in the market. Spencer Gulf cities have taken their issue to the second highest office in the land. They met with Deputy PM Michael McCormick in a bid to get federal support to address the shortage.
We are an industrial region, the 3 towns. We do have special needs, and it was a great opportunity to be able to push that with him.
Mayor Brewer believes a solution can be found locally. She says the region has TAFEs and unis that are currently underused and could be put to work to train up skilled workers.
There is a fairly high unemployment rate in our region. That's where we need to be starting, and we need to be starting with people coming from school.
While the Mayor believes the city's got a good hearing from the Deputy PM, she says action has to be taken now.
We now need to work on that. We need to get people trained. We need to become skilled. So there is now an awareness.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Broken Hill State member Kevin Humphreys says reopening Imperial Lake would be a good thing for the city. However, he says instead of talking about it, a strategic plan should be put in place.
A hidden gem that could soon be open again. Mr Humphreys says the new Wentworth to Broken Hill pipeline is closely related to the potential rejuvenation of Imperial Lake. Once it comes online, more discussions should be had.
The Imperial Lake was always going to be retained by essential water or essential energy as an emergency backup water supply. That won't be the case come the new year once the pipeline from the Murray River is commissioned.
However, Mr Humphreys says while it's good to see local councillors voice their support for an Imperial Lake project, it needs to be part of a council strategic plan.
I haven't seen any of that. I haven't seen any projects where the council have committed to, let alone wanted to engage with other levels of government.
The Imperial Lake was a summertime hotspot in the 60s and 80s. Many locals would love to see it thriving again.
The lakes are a potential key to the recreation and sporting amenity within the city and the far west. So I wouldn't underestimate that. But again, we want to see a coordinated proposal.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, Spencer Golf's standout footy players recognised at the Madigan Medal night, and why these parents will walk over 300 k's from Port Augusta to Adelaide. Whyalla police are calling for witnesses to a suspicious car fire in Whyalla Stewart. At around 1:30 a.m. on Sunday, police and MFS responded to reports of a fire on Jenkins Avenue. The blaze was extinguished, but a white Ford Transit van was destroyed. They believe it was deliberately lit. Witnesses had reported seeing a man riding a motorised bicycle passing by the fire, and police want him to come forward. Authorities also want to speak with 2 youths who alerted the owner. Anyone with information can call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. 3 cities in our region are hotspots for car break-ins, according to the RAA. Over 3,000 cars were reported stolen in SA in the 12 months to September 2017, while another 8,500 were broken into. Whyalla, Port Augusta and Port Lincoln were in the top 5 regional locations for these crimes, with Murray Bridge and Mount Gambier rounding out the top 5. The RAA says simple steps can be taken to reduce your risk of becoming a target. They advise residents to park in a garage or well-lit area where possible and lock your vehicle at all times. Car owners should also remove valuable items from site or out of the car completely, while they should also check their insurance covers car thefts. Broken Hill is one step closer to getting a new animal pound, with City Council completing its development application. The current pound has been subjected to a number of complaints from locals who live close by.
A pound plan that's positively promising.
The DA has been completed and submitted. We are getting it looked at.
Council's push for a new pound came after receiving a number of noise complaints about the current facility on Rakow Street. Its location across from a caravan park and near homes and a motel is not ideal. Council has now turned its attention to an old workshop at the airport.
With some minor tweaks and upgrades to it, we can get a much more feasible and financially achievable pound.
The project will cost an estimated $250,000. Council says to build a new pound, one potential contractor was asking for $1 million. The DA will be assessed by a third party.
There's obviously going to be conflict of interest within Council if we got our own DA reviewed by our own people.
Council is hoping the DA can be approved as soon as possible and the pound development can be voted on by the September Council meeting. A rough completion date is slated for June next year.
I think it's due time that we we are kind of looking at shifting the location to somewhere that's a little bit more remote away from the town as well.
Patrick Ryankey, Southern Cross News.
Footy players from across the Spencer Gulf have celebrated the end of the regular season, gathering for the annual Madigan Medal Awards night. The night celebrates the region's best and fairest players.
A night of celebration to recognise and reward the Spencer Gulf's standout footy players. All 6 teams from the seniors competition were in attendance, their top players all aiming to get the votes for the coveted Madigan Medal. This year's recipient, South Augusta's Aziel Stewart.
It's been my goal all year. I set a goal at pre-season to get close to the medal, and I'm happy that I got it, you know.
The youngster dedicating the prestigious accolade to a lost loved one.
I'm going to dedicate this to my uncle who I lost a couple of years ago, my mum's big brother, so, you know, this is for him.
This year's awards night proved to be a successful one for the South Augusta club. Forward Lionel Brown was awarded the comp's leading goal kicker, with 7 South players plus the coach also selected in the SGL Team of the Year. If that isn't enough, they also received Club of the Year.
It's for the club with most wins over the 4 grades, SGL grades, A grade, B grade, under 18s and under 15s, and this year luckily we've done pretty well.
Their eyes are now firmly fixed on the next prize, 3 back-to-back premierships.
That's our goal now, you know, this is just another medal, you know, there's another one I want to get.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Michael Owens' life was cut short at the age of 23 when he was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. His parents are said to walk over 300 k's from Port Augusta to Adelaide in his honour and raise money for research into the disease.
It was the heart-wrenching phone call which changed parents Peter and Deb Owens' lives forever. They were travelling home from a holiday in Coffin Bay when Michael rang.
He rang us to say that the doctor had said he's got pneumonia and, by the way, you've got leukemia, get yourself to hospital.
Michael was only 23 when he was diagnosed with AML and had no previous signs of illness. His parents had to travel the agonising 300 k's home from Port Augusta, knowing Michael was extremely sick. He was given the option to have a machine put into his lungs to help him breathe.
And he said, well, it's better than being dead. And the problem was he never woke up.
But within 5 days of being diagnosed, Michael passed away. His parents will now walk that same stretch of road to honour their son.
Walking from Port Augusta, because that's where he rang us to tell us. And we're walking to Adelaide to try and raise funds for the Leukemia Foundation in research for acute myeloid leukemia, which is what Michael had.
They'll leave Port Augusta on the 7th of September and pass through Port Broughton where Michael's grandparents live. They're aiming to raise $100,000. You can show your support by donating to the Michael Owens AML GoFundMe page.
We've raised on GoFund at this point $39,000, trying to get to a goal of 50. So we're hoping that we can take this to 100,000 before we finish.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
What a story. Stay with us after the break. We'll have all the weekend sport results.
And showers look to be returning as the week gets underway. I'll have all the details soon.
Welcome back. Now we have a wrap of all the weekend sport action. Garth Burley is in Port Augusta. And Garth, we're seeing an exciting battle for final spots in Port Augusta netball.
Well, Abby, a huge win from Vikings over St Joseph's on the weekend has seen them leapfrog from 3rd to 2nd spot. Both teams now sit on 5 wins, and this weekend's final round of the regular season will help determine who claims 2nd place. And of course, that crucial second bite at the cherry if they lose in week 1 of finals. In the other match, the undefeated Railways had an easy win over Magpies. In Port Lincoln, Imperial won honours over Boston in their battle for the top 4. Wayback had a tight win after a scare from South United, and Winilla Rangers won by 8 against the winless St Mary's. In Whyalla, onlookers were treated to an exciting and high-scoring game between True Blue and Warriors, with True Blue stealing the win by 4 goals. And YCW could not match it with top-of-the-table Kiwi. Solomon Town's Madison Pryor was the star in their 26-point win over Port in the latest round of Port Pirie netball. In the other match, it was a nail-biting contest between Blue Wren and Central Risdon, with the Wrens doing enough to scrape by with a win. Changing codes to soccer now, and in Port Lincoln, South Coast defeated Raiders for the first time this season after 4 attempts. This meant Seacole Masters' win over Knights lifted them to the top of the league by goal difference over Raiders. Bottom of the table Westlands forced an upset in Whyalla, beating Lions 1-0, and Croatia netted 10 in a thumping win over Wanderers. In the State League, the dream is over for the Northern Demons, who went down 3-0 to the Adelaide Vipers in the first week of finals. While in the Amateur League, Savoy marches on after a comprehensive win over South Coast United. And finally to Broken Hill, West won by a 2-goal margin over Alma, and St Joe's and Celtic had to share the points, with both sides unable to break the 2-all deadlock. So a few exciting weeks left of the regular season for many sports.
Thanks, Garth, and time now for the weather with Amy.
Thanks, Abby. Well, it was a sunny day around the region with some warmer winter temperatures. Nothing but sunshine and 22 degrees for Whyalla and Port Augusta. Winds did pick up in Port Lincoln with a top of 19. On the satellite, and patchy cloud over the southeast is triggering a few showers. Skies are otherwise clear over the remainder of the state under a large high pressure system. However, it is leading to a few chilly nights inland. If you're heading out on the waters tomorrow, southwesterly winds will pick up between 20 and 25 knots, with seas reaching 2.5 metres. Sunrise is at 7 a.m. on the dot, while it will set at 5:48. Showers developing around most districts tomorrow, maximums in Port Lincoln and Coffin Bay sitting in the mid-teens, slightly warmer in Whyalla and Port Augusta as the fine weather continues. Port Lincoln and Cleve can expect showers to hang around leading into the weekend as maximums sit in the mid-teens. Meanwhile, conditions should fine up by Saturday in Woodner with a top of 16 degrees. A run of mostly sunny days in Whyalla with maximums reaching 21 on Friday before dropping slightly to start the weekend. Similar conditions predicted in Port Augusta, while wet weather will settle in around Kadina. Showers also in Port Perry with a max of 16 on Saturday. Clare will also experience a few wet days with the cooler temperatures. Meanwhile, after a sunny 23, it will cool down just a little in Broken Hill, but the fine weather will remain. So Abby, it's looking like parts of the Spencer Gulf will see some fine weather to go into the weekend.
Thanks, Amy. Let's hope we see some more rain soon. And that's the local news this Tuesday. If you have an event or story you'd like us to follow up, visit our Facebook page, Southern Cross News SA. Thanks for your company. Enjoy your evening. Good night.